Okay, the purpose of this video is to show the bidirectional nature of the integration between the rental history reports applicant screening software interface and the Rent Manager 12 software platform. And so the first stage of this demonstration is to show how to process a background check directly from the Rent Manager database. Now, this can be performed in a number of circumstances, and it's driven from the prospect record within your Rent Manager database. On the General tab, the default tab may look a little bit different than the one on my screen. This is a custom template that we have our clients import so that they can order the screening directly from this first tab on a prospect record. The ordering process is quite simple. The only thing you need to do to order a background check is to come to whatever prospect that you need to have screened and change this status that is defaulted as not screened and flip that status to screening requested, and then hit the save button in the lower right-hand corner of your database. At that point, our system will automatically come into your database and look for any new report requests that have been set as screening requested and pick up that file. Once we pick up the file, we will automatically flip that status from screening requested to screening in progress while we're working on the background check. And then once we are done with the report, we will push a copy of that report down into your database as a history notes attachment, and we will update this status to say screening completed. So if I go to another prospect in the database, you can see what that looks like. Here's a prospect that we'd ordered earlier. You can see that the status reflects status of completed. We also have fields called RHR scoring models. This is an optional setting where if you want us to automate a leasing recommendation based upon your criteria, we would send that automated decision to you and update that field here. There's also a field called RHR site decision where we will list what your final lease decision on that applicant was. You're also going to see that we echo back the corresponding RHR file number for the applicant and a hyperlink if you want to view the results within our website. However, as I stated before, once we are done with the background screening, you can go to the history and notes section of that applicant, and you will see an attachment called Screening Report for the applicant's name, and you simply need to double click on the PDF icon to open up the viewer of the background report. This example, of course, is a little muddy because it's in a test development area, but it would include all of the relevant information about the applicant and all of the different searches that were performed as part of your screening package. So very straightforward, very simple. It's really just, again, back to the General tab, just one click of a mouse button to set the status to requested, and then the second click is to hit save. So 2 steps in order to run the screening. It is important to note that in order for the screening to be performed, the basic information must be completed on this General tab, meaning the first name and last name and a primary or current address of your applicant must be complete, as well as on the contacts page, we need to have a social security number and a date of birth. Those are the 4 pieces of information that must be filled in. Otherwise, you will receive an error message stating that we do not have sufficient personal information in order to perform the screening request. Now, if you're using Rent Manager's online application portal, we can set up a system to automatically pull in all of the applicants through that application portal. If you don't want to have to come to the General tab and flip this flag to screening requested, we can bypass that step if you would like. We have some clients that like us to automatically pull in all online applicants for screening, others that do not. If you have applicants with multiple contacts, in the example here where we have one primary prospect, but as I look at the contact records, I see that there are multiple contacts associated with that primary prospect record. We can also set it up so that we pull in all of the additional contact records into our screening as well. So that is the first way in which we are integrated with the Rent Manager database. Now, in addition to being integrated, and this is our user interface. This is here just because there are additional services included with your RHR screening account above and beyond the basic background checks. We have integrated collections. We have integrated renter's insurance. We also have the ability to generate your lease documents electronically. We have the ability to run different demographic and market intelligence reports. And so it's sometimes useful to be able to utilize and come out to our user interface in addition to the basic screening tools that are available within Rent Manager in order to do some advanced leasing functions. Now, if I go to the pending reports list on my user interface, this is where you will confirm and see that we did pull in that Betty Davis prospect record from your Rent Manager database directly into our user interface, and we're working on that report. Now, the second way that we are integrated with the Rent Manager software system is through our own application portal. And so if you are a client that is not using Rent Manager's portal or are looking at your different options for an online application, we'd love to have you take a look at ours. It's completely free and included with any screening package that you put together, and it's fully integrated with the Rent Manager database. The nice thing about this application portal, it is first and foremost a responsively designed format. So if somebody's applying on their phone or on a laptop or on a tablet PC, it's going to automatically scale itself to look great every time. And when an applicant goes to apply, the first thing they need to do is create a temporary account. And they create this temporary account because they need to be able to have the option to come back and finish the application if they're unable to complete it in one setting. The other thing is we allow applicants to invite other applicants to apply with them. So if there are co-applicants, roommates, spouse, co-signers, guarantors, et cetera, all of those applicants can apply together, and they will create one full prospect record with all of the corresponding subcontact records in your Rent Manager database automatically. So for example, after I created my account on this application portal, the first thing I will be presented with is a list of packages. Now, you can choose how many packages you want to set up with rental history reports. You might have an instance where you have more than just a leaseholder or a guarantor, or you may not accept guarantors. We have some clients that have 3 or 4 screening packages, and again, this is up to you, however many packages you want to set up on your account and how many you want to make available via the portal. After the applicant chooses what type of an applicant they are, then as another option, we have the ability to sync our application portal to your database and the real-time availability of what vacant units are available through the online listings functionality built within the Rent Manager software. So if you want to restrict which units an applicant can apply for based on your availability, we can tie our portal to that functionality out of the gate. Once an applicant chooses which property that they are interested in or what unit they're interested in, we will pull in all of the marketing associated with that unit into our system. And then they will start going through the application process. They will see the fee that you charge for your applicant screening. This fee is set by you, and we can either choose or you can choose to have us collect this application fee on your behalf, and then we would just credit you for the difference between whatever your fee is and whatever our screening rate to you is, and issue you a credit for the difference on your account. So they will be exposed to the fee, they'll be exposed to your acceptance guidelines, and then they also would then make the decision if they're applying individually or alone or with others. And the others option would be if they have a cosigner or guarantor or any other roommates or spouses. So once they set that, As an option, you can require an applicant to read through your entire resident selection plan and electronically sign using their fingertip or their mouse that they have read and understand the criteria. And then they'll just go through and start filling out the application information, starting with the property information, which is pre-filled in for the most part, and then moving on to their personal information details, name, social, date of birth, current address, lots of questions about whether they've had an eviction record or a criminal record in the past. Another optional setting is the ability to require uploads of documentation like pay stubs or driver's license or any other images that you might want to, or documents that you might want to require. So in this case, I'm going to upload an image of my driver's license. There I am, hit continue, and that piece is done along with all of these other data fields. Moving forward, they would answer questions about their residency information. If the applicant says they've rented, we will ask the questions about their rental experience. If they say they haven't lived at their current address for more than 3 years, they will be asked to provide additional information about where they've lived in the past. So these fields are dynamic and do expand if necessary. Again, here, if you want to require an applicant in their employer information to upload a pay stub, similar functionality to the driver's license, where they would come back to, if they're on their phone, they just take a picture of this and find it in their photo library. Otherwise, if they have a desktop or a laptop computer, they might save the image on the computer like I'm doing here during the upload process. And again, I double click to upload, looks good. Move on. Fill in my information about my employer. Then we ask some miscellaneous questions about pets. If they say yes to pets, we will offer the ability to upload an image of the pet. If they have any derogatory or delinquent credit, vehicle information, emergency contact info, additional minors that might be living with the applicant, and their date of birth, their relationship, and then the applicant is required to sign off on the online consent and release. And at that point, they are brought to a page to pay for the background screening via credit or debit card. So once they get done with the payment process, you can opt into our renter's insurance marketing program, where your applicant would be given the opportunity to buy pre-qualified and pre-approved renter's insurance. Otherwise, they would receive a receipt for payment, and at that point, they are done with the application, and this prospect will be created in the rent manager, in your rent manager database. So we will create the prospect and we will attach the application document there automatically. So if I go in and upload, or if I go and refresh my user interface here, you're going to see that the application will appear in my pending reports list momentarily. And then if I go into my database, let me just do a refresh on this page, and there is the application for Timmy Tester. You can see that that file now came in entered by Apply Now instead of the Rent Manager database. But if I go into my Rent Manager software and I refresh my list of prospects, there you can see that Timmy Tester was just automatically created by the RHR software. So just to confirm, if you use our application portal, you never leave the Rent Manager database, nor do you have to leave the Rent Manager database if you want to order your background screening from here and get the results back. The only reason I've exited out of the Rent Manager database at all is to show you the portal and to show you our user interface and how things are syncing together. But you truly never have to leave the Rent Manager database to execute your screening. You can see if you use our portal that we are auto-filling in all of the general fields within Rent Manager. We're also auto-filling in all of the contact fields. So we're populating the name, the social, the employer, the annual income, the email address, date of birth, vehicle information, phone numbers. And then we're supplementally filling in any additional information from our application portal down here in user-defined fields. We will create contact records for all of the applicants, including the minors or children that might have been associated with those applicants. And then in the history and notes, we are attaching that application document electronically as a PDF, just like when we're done with the background screening report, we're attaching that to your file. And so if I double click on that PDF icon, it's going to show you the full application that the candidate filled out electronically, in addition to attaching any uploaded documentation like the driver's license and or pay stub. And then if you want to require the applicant to sign off on your resident selection plan, that attachment is also included. So you have a nice, concise bundle of documentation attached to your prospect records. And that is really the overall summary of the exchange of data between your rent manager software and the rental history report screening system. In addition to the basic background reports, our system, you can create the adverse action or approval letters within our system that will automatically save to the prospect history notes. You can also generate your lease documents electronically out of our user interface and have those attached to the history and notes of your applicant. And if you have any additional questions about the integration or would like to see a full-blown demo of the user interface and how it interacts with your software, please feel free to reach out to your rental history reports account rep. Thanks.